Yo, the Foul Hooked Whitey is back. It's good to be back. It feels good to be here. It is August 29th, 2024. What's happening here? Hopper season. It's late August. Weather in south central Montana is fucking gorgeous right now. It's gorgeous. You still got another 3-4 weeks of comfortable weather probably. So if you're local, get out and fish. You know, now's the time. The fly fishing Nielsen ratings came in this week, and I got to admit, I was a little bit disappointed. We actually dropped from a little bit over 100 last week to 69 listeners now. And, you know, as me and my team comprehensively went through the data and looked at the numbers and really, really broke it down, I came to the professional conclusion that the bad news is we dropped 30% in a week. But the good news is, 69 is my favorite number. So that works. What I want to talk about today is something that's really, it's an issue in our sport. And I think anybody that's active professionally in fly fishing like me, that has a website and has a brick and mortar store and has a social media influence, both Facebook and Instagram, of course, it's something that you have to do. If you want to do business online, then you've got to be active in social media. That's not the only way to get folks to go to your website and buy stuff, but it's the most organic. And so social media matters, not only to me professionally, but to millions and millions and millions of fly anglers across the globe. Social media is a connection. Get to talk to that motherfucker in Vietnam. That messenger shit. So, social media has, in my opinion, by far the most positives. But, there's a dark side to social media. And that dark side kind of reared its ugly head with us in the last week. And it all started with this young man who's a friend of mine, a customer, who came in after an alpine lake trip, right, up into the high country. And, he and a friend went up there and they were fishing for goldens. And we're talking oversized goldens. And so, I could tell, on Colton's face when he came in, he just was fucking grinning. So he ended up popping a good fish. I mean, a good fish. Just a picture, 20 inches plus, fat. And that's the thing about this location, this fishery, which I'm not going to fucking name. I don't need more, shitty emails. And he then showed me a video of his buddy. And I'm going to call his buddy B-Town because he's from Billings. And in this video was not only the greatest fucking golden I've ever seen caught, but I mean, really, all things considered, one of the better fucking trout videos I've ever seen, right? Goddamn. He showed me this video and my dick got hard. I mean, this is a fucking, this is a state record. I'm not a big exaggerator on fish size and weight and all that, but, I don't know how fucking good I am either. Within an inch or two, probably. But if you go to @EastRosebud, a certain number of the 69 listening today, let's face it, you've probably already seen it. You will get a chance to view the meanest, gnarliest, baddest, thickest, and most lit up in color trout you'll ever fucking see. If you were going to compare this golden trout that B-Town caught to a pussy, it'd be about a $1,500 an hour pussy. That's the level of quality that B-Town was holding. And the video is just basically the kid holding it up. I assume my friend panning the flank of this fish and then reaching out and highlighting this golden, stunning tail. Stunning. So, I got this thing and, they wouldn't let me have it right away. They sat on it for about a month. And when they allowed me to post it, I just was really excited just because I knew that this fish, this golden, was going to get a lot of attention. Unfortunately, the post that we did get a lot of attention, and it got a certain percentage of negative attention. And by negative attention, I don't mean fucking views and all that. I'm talking comments. And it really turned me off. And I've been doing this for 17 seasons. I've had it all kind of happen to me, especially when you got a big fucking mouth like me. So I can take it. But what bothered me is the fact that the critique was on basically the handling of this fish. And, as I kind of read through these, it didn't fire me up. It was just more kind of atypical because, let's face it, there is a ton of fly fishing Monday morning quarterbacks. And who are they? That's the dude or the dudette that sit back and use their fucking handheld device as a megaphone to say a lot of dumb shit. I mean, really dumb shit. And the biggest thing that bothered me about these comments was kind of that, living in a glass house shit and, don't throw rocks. And you've heard that before, right? Because it reminds me, number one, of what we do and what we love as fly fishermen. Every single thing that makes us love what we do when it comes to this sport is all at the pain of trout or other species you're fishing for. So, the dude that said, God damn, there's a lot of dirt on the side of that fucking golden. Get your hands wet, motherfucker. I go right to the fact that same guy impales one of the softest parts of a trout's body, which is its mouth, with an extremely sharp fucking hook. And then that trout, he don't know what the fuck that is. He just knows his fucking mouth hurts and he's got to get away. So then he fights or he takes off once you put tension on that fish. For the folks out there that are critiquing this golden trout handling, that whole time you're fishing, you're fucking really hurting what's making you happy. So, let's just be real about the fact that we're in a fucking blood sport. And I've been fishing for 25 years. I definitely know the difference between once they're on a hook and once they're in a net basket. So I get it. But to come off like, oh, fuck, I'm Mr. Perfect, and every fish I give the motherfucker mouth to mouth before I let it go. But, hey, look, dude, you're getting your rocks off by fucking hurting a living organism. Right? I mean, I do it. And I'm going to keep doing it. But it's amazing how people somehow get away from that. And I bet in our sport, we're probably 75, 80% catch and release anglers. And there's no doubt there's a right way and a wrong way to handle and release a fish. But nobody who made a comment on that magnificent post was there. Nobody knows the condition of that fish as it was put back in the water and released. Nobody saw that trout's, body language when it took off. So as far as all the criticism, I would just encourage everybody to remember, what about your last year of fishing? Did every single fish you caught, whether it was a trout, bass, crappie, bonefish, did you handle every single one of those fish on the release perfectly? I bet you didn't. So the comment part of all of this, hey, it's America. You can say what you want. And unless you get personal or really inappropriate, we'll let it fly. But I think the reflection on this, when it comes to the fact that people are really fucking comfortable saying whatever they want when they're looking at their phone or on their device, sitting at a long fucking stoplight, nothing to do, had a bad fucking day. Boss was a bitch. I'm just a little bit pissy. And maybe a little bit jealous that I didn't fucking catch that fucking trophy golden. So I'm gonna what are you gonna change? What's the point? I'm not Mr. Guess a Trout's weight all that great, but I know this. That if you watch that video and you don't think that trout was 7 pounds or fucking heavier, you call me here at the shop and call me out. Because that was a state fucking record. And anybody out there that had some critique on terms of how B-Town was holding this, or, not wet enough, or dirt on the flank, or whatever it was, I don't know. Just kind of seems like, it's that glass house with a rock again. That fish could have very well been doinked on the head, brought down the side of that miserable fucking mountain face, brought into Fish and Game, laid that baby on the counter and said, "There's your new state record golden. Let me spell my full name for you." What would the conversation have been then? The fish in this fishery, the trout in this fishery, the goldens, which is all there is. I know from talking to a half a dozen people that get up there and got it down. Number one, they're fucking hard. They're hard. Think you're going to throw some fucking bobber out there with a couple of chironomids and just clean up? You're not. Think you're going to go up there like a big caveman like me, meathead, throwing streamers and catch them? You're not. And I've never talked to one person that's ever caught one of these big ones on a fucking dry fly there. They're tough. So not only did B-Town catch, I would assume, a state record, but he also caught an exceptionally difficult golden to catch, and one that people have told me when they're big, go fucking bonkers. They blow up like you wouldn't believe. It's like you fucking hooked a steelhead. They're crazy tough, crazy power. Last comment. Bob Jacklin, famous. Look him up. He was filming a segment for a TV show he did. And this is about 15 plus years ago, maybe a little longer. And it was on the Madison. And some people listening right now probably already understand, they know this. But he's doing a nymphing instructional type video, and boom, he gets an eat, sets the hook, and all of a sudden, Bob Jacklin says, "Oh, I got a good one." And over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, whatever, he ends up netting, I think it was 30 inches. It might have been bigger. Huge brown, beautiful, beyond lifetime. To catch that in the lower 48, especially a freestone, amazing. And I do call the Madison a freestone. I saw an interview with him because one of his passions is taxidermy, and he particularly does skin mounts, or did. And he kept this brown that he caught on this show to stuff the motherfucker. right? Not my style. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it back. But obviously, as a licensed angler, this dude had a right to take that fish per Fish and Game law. And the heat that he got for taking that trout, he said, was intense. He also said, I'm talking Bob here, he said that for all the thousands and thousands and thousands of trout he's ever caught, the number of trout that he would keep wouldn't even fill a creel. But he keeps this one fish for the purpose of memorializing it. And the cat's getting death threats. So my advice to all you fly fishing Monday morning quarterbacks out there is tone it the fuck down, because you're not going to change nothing. B-Town ain't going to look at your comments and say, oh, fuck, the next time I catch one, God damn it, I got to make... No, he's not going to. He's going to do the same thing he did before. He's going to catch a trophy, treat it right, get it back in the water, and release it back into that lake. That's all I got. Foul hooked Whitey out. See you next week.